When you were in school, was there ever a day where you kind of noticed one of your teachers might be under the influence of something? So this guy, he's a teacher and a basketball coach. We'll call him Mark. The thing is, Mark really, really loves his job, right? He really loves helping students reach their full potential. He's kind of known as the cool teacher because all the kids love him too. I mean, his classroom is a classroom that you kind of stop in and kind of hang out at, after school and between classes. But one day, as he's walking down the hallway, one of his coworkers notices that he kind of smells funny. And not funny in the sense that he's musty, but in the sense that he might be drinking something. And it's not just one coworker. I mean, other teachers start noticing it, and even the students start noticing it too. And it's not just the smell. I mean, Mark's eyes, bloodshot and watery, and he's even slurring his words. So word starts to spread around the school, and eventually, some of the teachers decide to make a stop at the principal's office to kind of let her know what's been going on. They tell her what, they've been observing and what they've been smelling. They're just kind of addressing their concerns. Now, usually, I'd say they snitching and they need to mind their business. But, dude does seem to be drunk around students in a school, so I'll let him slide. Anyways, later that morning, the principal calls Mark into the office to kind of see for herself what's going on. But as soon as Mark walks into the principal's office, the principal gets that whiff and is like, damn, this dude smells like liquor. She asks Mark if he's been drinking, and of course he denies it, but it's really hard denying that smell, and I can imagine he's slurring his words as he's denying it. So the principal's like, all right, man, you gotta go. They sent him home that day and put him on unpaid suspension pending an investigation. So Mark goes home and tells his wife what happened. He assures her that he wasn't drinking on the job and is completely shocked about what's happening. Now, his wife believes him because, she's a ride or die. So all he can do now is wait for the results of the investigation and pray for the best. And the best never came. They fired him expeditiously. So at this point, his teaching license in New Jersey is burned because who would hire a teacher who was fired for being drunk on the job? So just like that, it was over for Mark, at least in New Jersey anyway. So years later, he was able to land a teaching and a head coaching job at a school in upstate New York. This was like a 2-hour commute each way for him. But since his teaching license was burned in New Jersey, he figured this was the best option for him. The school year started at the new school and everything was going great. Tell me why, 3 weeks into the school year, Mark is getting ready to go home after a long day of work, getting ready for that gangster 2-hour commute back home, and a few minutes into the drive, he starts feeling sleepy. He starts swaying the car from side to side. And of course, them boys in blue pull him over. And when they pull up on him, they notice that he has bloodshot eyes and he's slurring his words. So naturally, they ask him to take a breathalyzer test. Now Mark figures, hey, I got nothing to hide. So he takes the test. He failed miserably. He blew twice the legal limit. He tried to explain to the cops that he wasn't drinking at all, but they wasn't trying to hear that. They locked him up and charged him with a DUI. But it was his first DUI, so he was able to kind of walk away from it without much consequence. But again, Mark had to explain all of this to his wife, who still believes him because she knows her husband. She knows that he wasn't drinking. Fast forward 6 months later, and he gets pulled over again and failed another breathalyzer test and was hit with a second DUI charge. This time, the school district is notified. They fire Mark, and now Mark is in a worse position than he was back in New Jersey. After losing 2 jobs and getting 2 DUIs, Mark's wife starts looking at him a little suspect. Like, maybe I'm the dumb one, and my husband do got a drinking problem. All this stress and loss of income began to take its toll on Mark. Mark had to sell his house, move in with the in-laws, because no one was gonna hire him with 2 recent DUIs on his record. Tensions in this man's household were understandably high. Since Mark is sitting at home all day because he ain't got no job, he was now more determined than ever to find out what was wrong with him. This whole time, he maintained his innocence and claimed that he was never drinking during any encounter with law enforcement or at any school at any point. Through a bunch of online research, Mark found out about ABS, which is autobrewery syndrome. It's basically when the bacteria in your stomach ferments. When you eat carbs like bread, the bacteria turns into ethanol. He was sure he had it. So he went to a local GI doctor. They ran some tests, and it turns out Mark was right. When Mark and his wife found out the truth, they both just kind of broke down and cried. Mark felt a huge sense of relief. Turns out he has to take like 30 pills a day for the rest of his life and drastically cut down on the carbs. But other than that, he's fine. He was able to get the DUI charges dropped from his record. Now, I don't know if he was able to get back into teaching and coaching, but I really hope he gets back everything he lost.